So we're going to start with our tumbler. I have my stainless steel can Kewlzie from Steel Magnolia, and then your vinyl print. This one is from Papa's Promos. It's this super pretty teal spring floral pattern. So I'm just going to trim it to fit my length of the cup here. And I am going to leave a little extra room just so that I can overlap it because I'm going to be trimming the excess off anyway. So once I have that trimmed, making sure that it's going to fit around my cup, I am just going to take my vinyl wrap, tear off a piece of that backing, and then I'm going to line it up perfectly as straight as I can, and I'm just going to wrap it around the length of my tumbler, being sure that I'm pressing out any air bubbles. So I'm just using this little squeegee tool here, and I'm going around just pressing down that vinyl firmly. That way there are no air bubbles that get trapped here. So I'm just going to smooth it out all around the cup here. So now I'm just taking 2 pieces of masking tape, and I'm going to make a V on the tumbler here with my tape, making sure that the ends line up and meet each other, and I'm going to place them over where the seam is. So we are going to remove that vinyl and leave the stainless steel exposed. So I'm just using my X-Acto knife, and I'm just going to trim along the edge of the tape here, being careful not to go over the tape, and I'm just going to trim that excess vinyl and peel that off. Once you have your vinyl peeled, you can go ahead and remove the masking tape and just make sure that the ends line up. Do any necessary trimming if you don't have perfect edges or if they don't meet in the middle. And then I'm just going around the top of the cup, and I'm going to trim off the excess, being sure that I press the vinyl firmly down so I don't have any air bubbles. And then for the bottom of the cup, I am using my edging tool, and I'm just going to go around the bottom to get a nice, clean, even line. Once you have all of the excess vinyl removed, then I'm just going in with my weeding pen, and I'm just going to make sure to pop any of those extra air bubbles that I missed, just to make sure that it's laying completely flat. Now we're going to paint that stainless portion of our tumbler. So I'm starting with a lighter color paint first, and I'm just going to give that a good coat just on the stainless steel part. I am going to do this for the V section of my tumbler, and I'm also going to use this same paint for the bottom. So I'm just being careful not to get too much excess paint on my vinyl. However, if you get a little bit of paint on there, that is okay. You can always just use an alcohol wipe or even just a wet washcloth and just lightly wipe that paint away. So now that I have my cup chuck screwed into my cup here, I'm just going to paint the bottom of my tumbler and then go around the edge that we trimmed off around the stainless as well. Just being careful again not to get too much excess paint on the edge here. This part is going to be covered in glitter, so I wasn't worried about a thick of a coat here because it is going to be covered up in glitter later down the line. Once I let that first coat of paint dry for about 10 minutes, now I'm going to go in with a brighter teal colored paint, and I'm going to mix just a small amount of that blue in there just to kind of dull it a little bit, and then I'm going to carefully brush this on again over both stainless steel parts. Now the exposed V part of the tumbler, that is not going to be covered up with glitter, so I am just making sure that with my brush strokes I'm going in nice and even. I don't want any globs of paint here, so I'm just going to brush my paint on and then smooth that out with my brush. Then I'm going to do the same thing and go around the bottom of the tumbler, just covering that bottom part in a second coat of paint with that same blue teal color as well. Then we're going to let that dry for about an hour. Once that paint is dry, we're just going to mix up 10 milliliters each part A and B epoxy, and then we're just going to apply that over the entire tumbler. While that epoxy is still wet, we're going to take our glitter and we're going to glitter the bottom of the tumbler. So I just removed my cup from my turner just by grabbing it by the cup chuck, and then I'm just going to dump the glitter and then use the cup to press it down firmly into the bottom of the cup. And then for the edge of the cup, I didn't want excess glitter on my vinyl, so I tried to avoid that just by carefully sprinkling it along the edge. This did take a little bit longer than I wanted, but I did manage to keep most of the glitter on the edge of the tumbler and not on my vinyl. Once I've gone all the way around the edge of the bottom of the tumbler, now I'm going to put it back on the turner and I'm going to use this chunky cut of glitter and I'm just going to blend the line there together. So I'm just going to sprinkle the chunky glitter just a hair above the line where that paint is, just so that you don't see a harsh line there. So I'm going to just carefully go in. I don't want to get too much glitter here and I don't want to get any glitter on my V. So I'm just going in carefully with the chunky and then I go back in and kind of blend it all together with the fine glitter again. So now I'm just going in with my pre-cut vinyl strips and I'm going to outline the edge of the V here with these, making sure that I line it up as best I can so that it is perfectly even on both sides. Now I'm going in with this thin black washi tape and I'm just going to make a few diagonal lines here across just in the V. I'm trimming off the excess. I don't want this line over the blue tape, so I'm just trimming that off. You can do these lines however you want. I was just going for an artistic look. I wasn't trying to line anything up perfectly, so some of the lines may not be perfectly aligned or matched to the others, which was totally fine with me. You can, however, choose whichever pattern you decide for this. Now I'm just going back over my lines and I'm doing the vertical lines just to kind of tie everything together and make a diamond type shape pattern. And I'm again trimming off any of the excess tape that I don't want on the blue piece of tape. Now I'm going to add these cute little bee embellishments directly onto the tumbler. So to attach it, I am using UV resin. You can of course use super glue or any other adhesive, but for me UV resin worked the best. So I just applied a small amount on the bee. I'm going to place it on my cup where I want it, and then I'm going to cure it. Because the bee is 3D, it's obviously not going to sit perfectly flat on your tumbler, which is how the UV resin is going to adhere it to the cup. I'm going to add another bead to the tumbler at the top, and I'm going to apply it the same way. Just make sure that you are double checking that your UV resin is cured before you move on to epoxying the next step. You want to let it sit for at least 60 seconds under that UV light. Now I'm going to add my epoxy. So for this coat, I am using medium viscosity here, and I mixed up 10 milliliters again, each part A and B. And because this bottom half of the tumbler does have exposed glitter, what I am doing first is I am adding the epoxy to the top half of my tumbler, being sure that I do make sure to get the bees really good and in any of the crevices in the bees. And I am going to work my way down to the bottom of the tumbler so that my glitter does not spread. Once that's cured, I'm going to do another final coat of epoxy, and that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more fun, crafty tutorials, don't forget to like and subscribe.